bring Kate in, please?
Yeah, I wonder if Kate knows about the Island Boys. Who's bringing her in? I don't want to bring her in.
I brought her in. Don't kick her out. There we go.
I didn't stop. I'm not doing anything.
Can we do this?
I love about this show is that I had the beginning of it on and I was like, oh, HK's hungover, ha ha ha. And then I walk away to like fix my hair and face and whatever and come back on. And then I'm waiting in the back and it's like, the Island Boys are making out on social media. We switch quickly here.
Yeah, you also missed the whole conversation about goose blasting.
Oh. Oh my God, look at the time. I got
it's not what you think.
Happy New Year's, fellas.
Happy New Year, Kate. How was your New Year's?
It was good. I'm exhausted, but I spent New Year's with my sister in the city and we just went to Bolero Lanes and we like bowled and played arcade games and hung out. It was really, really fun actually. Awesome. And then I was obviously at the pay-per-view the night before. So I was all over the tri-state. I went to a family party on the 30th, then to Long Island, then I parked in Secaucus overnight and back in the city and now home. So a whirlwind, but a really, really fun weekend for sure.
Did you go right from the media scrum to bowling? Because that lasts about 12 hours. So
I could have. I don't know why I even got a hotel. I could have just gone right there. But yeah, I mean, I think we were in the room. I think I checked in at about 2:45 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning. It was very, very, very long day.
How was the? So I think everybody knows AEW Worlds End, right? End of world. What's it called? End of world.
Worlds End. Yep.
Worlds End was this past weekend, and I don't know if you've had a chance to go back and watch the show, Kate, but from my couch, the 8-man with Jericho. Very weird vibe came across my TV screen, and obviously the news was broke earlier that morning, where Nick Houseman said he might be in the same ballpark as Harvey Weinstein. But on screen when Jericho comes out, it was a weird vibe. Like the crowd was clearly not feeling it. Being live and sitting in the crowd, did it come across that way?
So I'll say a couple of things. The first is that from what I saw people saying in general, that like the live miking was really bad, that it was like very quiet and nothing was coming across. And it was very loud in the arena the whole night. It was pretty much a sold out crowd. So whatever miking situation was happening the whole night. There was a pop for Jericho's entrance. And then this happened when Ric Flair debuted too. Like everybody was shocked or like popped for the entrance. And then all of a sudden the energy just changed. Like there were NDA chants going on during the match. He was getting booed as a face, like a lot of this. Ricky Starks flicked him off and he got a huge cheer for doing that. So the energy kind of flipped. I think people just like instinctively popped for the Judas entrance. And then like that moment kind of sets in, and being there live for the Flair debut was very, very similar. And that people were like, holy shit, Ric Flair's here. And then they were like, oh, I just remembered Ric Flair bragged about sexual assault. So it was a really, really weird energy in there. And the whole night was weird. I had like knots in my stomach the whole scrum because I knew what we were going to be getting into. And I feel like, I feel like it could have been handled a lot better by Nick Houseman to start. And I feel like rumors and allegations are different things. And that put everybody that was in that media scrum in a really, really, really weird position. And that makes things very tricky, especially when you're one of 3 women that were in the room. Very relieved and thankful for my male peers that were in there that did ask about that repeatedly asked about it. But it's also hard when you don't know what you're asking about because no woman has actually come forward and said anything. Like a Kylie Ray heart emoji is not enough to ask a integrity question based off of, I think, which makes it tricky. So just a really uncomfortable situation all around that I think will probably continue until either more surfaces or it'll go away. We'll see.
Knowing that this information was out there, do you think it was right to go and put Jericho out in that match?
That's a hard call because I think you almost like don't want to assign weight to somebody just saying something about rumors. I think if a woman had shared their experience about it, or if a woman had privately disclosed what had happened and there was an investigation, then you're talking something different. But for Nick Hausman to just go out there and say Jericho rumors, and not really compare or base it in anything, I feel like as a wrestling company, you kind of can't assign that much weight to it. So I don't know if it was a good call or not. I'll say I think it was a fucking stupid match to have on the card to begin with. So maybe they should have pulled it all together. But I don't know what the right call is in that situation, because I don't think you want to give rumors almost that much credit when they're not truly rooted in anything. And again, there's all these leaps being made of that Nick Hausman was talking about Kylie. We don't know that. Her responding with a heart doesn't mean that's who he was referencing in the first place. There might be more women out there. Who knows, right? Like, you have no idea with any of these things. So I don't know what the right call in that situation is. I don't think it was the wrong call, but I don't know if it was the right call either.
So was this like a really big story? Do you think like a majority of the people in that building knew about it? Because I didn't know about it till I read the notes for the podcast. I didn't know that he was accused. I heard the term NDA, but I still thought that was because of the Punk Bucks Omega thing.
Sure. I'll tell you that I am not in the Scoops game, and I have heard 8 different versions of what the rumors are.
Okay.
I will say what I've heard is nothing forcible, or anything that would qualify as like sexual assault, but it would qualify as like sexual misconduct.
And there's no allegations by a specific individual, is there, or no?
That's my thing. Is there's no woman has come forward about her experience publicly, and there's no public facing knowledge that allegations were made and investigated upon.
Right.
So nobody knows, which is the tricky thing here. Like, you can't investigate allegations that weren't made, right?
Right.
So I think I don't have like any personal problem with Nick Hausman. He gets a lot of shit from a lot of people that I think is unfair, but I do think this was a wildly irresponsible way to go about something. And I don't think it was a potential victim-centric way to go about something, right, which is what should be the focus of something like that. If you sincerely think one or more people was sexual assaulted, you don't go on your own podcast and say, the Jericho rumors will come to light later, 5 days after Jericho's drunk tweeting on Twitter. And we all know that you're a CM Punk guy, right? It's like you're using sexual misconduct as leverage in a situation that has nothing to do with sexual misconduct.
Yeah, to use it as a chip in a fucking stupid exchange with Chris Jericho because you think he's lying, whatever. It's fucking nonsense. The reason for it coming out is nonsensical. The fact that Nick Hausman took the steps to put it out, hopefully he talked to whoever was put in that situation and he didn't just take it upon himself to spread that rumor. I don't want to spend a whole Kate's Corner talking about this because this is some heavy shit here. Scott George says you did a great job at the media scrum, Kate.
Thank you. I will say I had more fun with Toni Storm than anyone I've ever had in a media scrum. I got to ask her about people in AEW or obviously the big free agent, and she said there's obviously a big free agent, a big money match that's out there, and then she said, I'm gonna fuck you up, Wendy Richter. So I appreciated her being playful with that.
Not to go back to the Jericho things, I don't want to talk about it too much, but Kate brought up a question. I just want her to elaborate it. Did you want that match pulled altogether because of the Jericho thing, or did you want it pulled because it was just no reason to have the match on the show at all.
Oh, it was just dumb and shitty creative, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And probably a good idea to pull it otherwise, I guess. But like before anything came out about Jericho, I was like, this is a really dumb match with no stakes in it.
A weird pivot from what they had originally planned. Yeah.
In the AEW world of pay-per-views, this is towards the bottom.
Sure.
I think we can all agree. Like, this was not a great show. It was very. It had a lot of, and I don't mean this in a negative way because WWE has the rocket strapped to them, but this was a very WWE feel to it with the reveal of the devil, because everybody they just let it go forever, and the fucking what's it, kill shot? What the fuck is Luchasaurus? Kill switch? Kill switch. Winning a fucking terrible. If AEW does one thing in 2024, please stop with the fucking battle royals. The battle royal itself was dog shit. And then to have this, like, it was so right out of the WWE playbook like 5 years ago, to have Edge win and then have Kill Switch show up and just like Christian cash in. It was like, oh, you took the fucking air right out of me, man.
I'll say this pay-per-view, there were a few things, right? The devil angle got really screwed up by Adam Cole's injury, I think. Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes got screwed by Keith Lee not being able to go. That was such a bummer.
Why would you let somebody smash somebody with a piece of concrete and then say he's okay to wrestle?
Why would you have a 10-minute match after he got smashed with concrete? What are we doing? You know what we need? More tournaments in 2024. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, the C2 has been my favorite thing that they did in a long time. But there's been a lot of injuries that threw things off course. There were also things like, I think they wanted to give Andrade a final match. But the closing two matches of this were... I'm so bummed that the live mics were reflective of what the live experience was, because... there were grown men crying about that Eddie Kingston win around me. And that match was like ugly and fun, and I thought it delivered. But there were people that were like very, very much in the boat of Eddie Kingston's trajectory through this whole thing. And I'm like of the belief that predictable is good when it's good. Like I had no problem with Adam Cole being the devil reveal. And the Kingdom, especially after the ROH tag titles have been held hostage this long, like them losing it for MJF to lose the tag titles and the world title and his best friend all within the course of a week, I think is an interesting character trajectory. And I thought it was really good. And I'll tell you what, it was very fun live, because even though people pretty much knew it, I think because Adam Cole didn't have a devil mask and take it off and they kind of reversed it, it felt, honest to God, in there like when I go back and watch like 80s MSG Junkyard Dog stuff. Like it was just like generic shock and awe noise, even though everybody knew it was coming still. And I think the Max passing out and then going into that was pretty well done. So like, I don't have a problem with the devil reveal. I think it was the right choice. And I think what's cool about it is you got Adam Cole as a heel again. You got Adam Cole with a faction again. If Kyle O'Reilly's healthy enough to come back, there's a lot of interesting things you could do with the Kingdom and a Red Dragon reunion. And I think MJF goes away for a while to heal up and do some stuff. But I think he also comes back heel. And I just appreciate an angle where both guys were faces and both guys emerge heel as the split. I think that's pretty cool. So,
do you think there's a chance that Bobby Fish actually comes back? Because you mentioned Red Dragon. Do you think there's a chance that happens?
They've said the door is open, but I could also just see it being like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly or something along those lines. But I do think I'm a big KOR gal. Like I love Kyle O'Reilly, so I'm really hoping he can come back. But Bobby Fish left on kind of just like not bad terms, like just left. He's an older dude. There wasn't a ton for him to do. Like there was never anything negative.
He tried to convince them to go back to WWE, right? Isn't that the thing? He tried to convince Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole to leave.
I think there was a lot of bullshit out there.
If that was bullshit, then fuck it. Then bring him back.
I don't know.
Bring him back, then.
Maybe he did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he won't come back. But I think there's a lot you can do with the Kingdom plus Kyle O'Reilly, even if Bobby Fish doesn't re-enter that picture. But definitely a weaker pay-per-view. But I will say, like, the back half of it picked up, and I know you didn't love I didn't love the deathmatch booking at the end, but it was really loud in there for like Nick Wayne going through a table on fire and shit. Like, people loved the actual deathmatch.
The match, right? The first half of the show, in my opinion, outside of the opening 8-man with all the guys in the C2, was very just. It was not good. But once you got to that second half, like, I thought the Edge Christian match was fucking awesome. Just that WWE swerve where Edge, Adam Copeland, I'm going to call him Edge forever, people, so just get over it. He has his moment, and then, like, Killswitch just shows up, and, like, Christian takes, like, it's such a hokey WWE thing. It really just fucking irked me. I thought the Eddie Kingston John Moxley match was the fucking best thing on the whole show, because it was AEW. Should be the identity of AEW, the Eddie Kingston John Moxley match. Like, stop trying to be like the WWE and do these long convoluted fucking storylines that you just it goes back to, we talked about it at the beginning of the Mark Order podcast when we first started. Like, everything Jericho was involved with went way too fucking long with the factions. They take these stories and they just fucking drag them out forever, to the point where it's like, just fucking pull the trigger already. That's the way I see it. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
No, I think you definitely have a good point, and it does always seem to be like Jericho faction stuff that goes super long. But at the same time, like, to me, Adam Page and Kenny was like a 1.5 year long program, arguably since before the roots of AEW, and that's one of the best stories they've ever done, right? But to your point, I don't have a problem with like a WWE style match.
Right.
If that's the one thing that's on the card that feels that way. I know on the scrum, on the media call that was before the pay-per-view, Tony Khan said they looked at the C2 as almost an experiment of, can we make sports-based wrestling draw? And it kicked ass. It did the best numbers they've done in a long time. Ratings are down on television across the board, but they were in about half the drop that traditional programming had. They were beating college basketball and football and all sorts of stuff. So they were very, very encouraged by that. And he said they're going to be kind of returning more to that sports-based stuff. But I know they also take a lot of pride in it kind of being almost a buffet. So I think you're going to see sports-based stuff, but you'll probably have one dumb thing that we'll complain about, because that's not my shit either.
Right,
I think with this version of Christian, though, I actually kind of liked it.
Exactly.
It should be a WWE style match because he's a fucking goofball heel, you know?
And it's impossible not to have some sort of storytelling when it comes to Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian aren't going to go out there and have like a New Japan match. There's so much history between those two guys that
old.
And they're old, and they worked in WWE their entire career, and I'm sure have a lot of control over the stories that are written for them or by them, for all I know. So the whole Christian like losing and then that's like, it also shows like the power that Christian has over like his group. And I want to know what he whispered in Killswitch's ear to convince Killswitch to give him his title shot. Like, to me, that's intriguing. Like, what did he say? Like,
sure. And I'm sure Jungle Boy is going to come back and either further the turn or make Luchasaurus see the other side of things, right? Like, I do think there was a productive, even though I don't like the like hot potato back and forth with the title part of it, I do appreciate that. I think there's a story angle there, and it's probably a Jungle Boy return.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of like in theory, like if that happened in like WWE, right? Like I'd like would shit all over it. But because it's like these two guys for some reason, it's like there's history. There's Christian is such a piece of shit now. Like, it's great. So like, to me, like him doing that and getting people even more upset about it is like, to me, is like cool, and it only enhances the story. To me, it's just one guy's opinion.
Well,
But I
let me
think
Oh, sorry, Kate. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's also like, I'm always okay with stuff even if I don't like it, if it still makes wrestling sense, and I think that still makes wrestling sense.
Yes.
Like that's gonna further the story. So even if it's not for me, I'm like, as long as they're doing sound creative, someone will attach to it. I don't like spooky shit either, but as long as they do it well, that's for somebody, right? So.
Yeah. And Matt, I feel like there is a fine line between hot shotting and dragging on. Like WWE has done a tremendous job of telling really succinct, long stories lately. So like I understand what you're saying about dragging on, but I also I'd rather drag on than hot shot a million different things every week.
Yes, and we'll pick this up. But Kate, this has been awesome. You are awesome. At MissKatefabe on all forms of social media. She just dropped an interview a couple days ago with Rocky Romero that's on her YouTube. If you are preparing for Wrestle Kingdom, me and Kieran did not get to do a Bread Club today, so I highly suggest checking out Kate sitting down with Rocky Romero. It's a great interview. It's a great talk. So you just go to Kate's Twitter machine at MissKatefabe, hit that link tree, and make sure you follow Kate on all forms of social media. Kate, this has been an absolute pleasure. Go get some rest and tune in Wednesday night for the Mark Order podcast where Kate's going to give her full rundown of all things AEW.
That's right. Thank you, fellas. It's always fun coming on here. I appreciate you.
Always
Kate,
a pleasure,
we appreciate
Kate.
you taking time out of your busy schedule. Tony didn't say anything inappropriate about you. He didn't channel his inner
I
Jericho.
never do. Shut your hole.
I kind of like
dare
it.
you.
It feels wrong almost. Like I feel like I'm just glad he showed up this time because last time I was on, it was like,
Kate, why don't you drive to my house in North Arlington and come in the hatch, and it'll just be me and you, Jericho style.
Bye.
Yeah. I become in.
Kate, please check your emails for the PDF of the NDA. Thank you.